Hey everyone, I'm doing a quick video because Antoine asked me a question and it's a good question. So thank you Antoine for it. He's asked me how I'm using my Elby Designs CGS 9.3 trunking modules. Now, let me just take a step back for a second. You all know that the vector sequencer is kind of the brains of my system. Now, having a 12U 168 HP system, I want to move signals coming from the vector around different places in my rack. Of course, you could just take patch leads across it and you end up with a fine mess like this. But there are some things that I might want to do in most patches or in a lot of patches, and I might leave them semi-permanently in place. And that's where the CGS 9.3 units come in. Note I said two of them because they are trunking modules. So what I have here on the bottom left of my rack is my vector sequencer, the jack expander, and there's a back plane type cable between them for the expander. And out of the triggers in the expander, I've got connections which run from the expander to the CGS 9.3. Now, in a normal circumstance, they're all plugged in. So let me just plug that in. There. So I've got trigger outputs 1, 2, 3, and 4, and 5, 6, 7, and 8 going to CGS 9.3 inputs 1 through 8 as well. Okay, so that's nice and easy. And with these short cables here, it's quite neat as well, you know, as neat as it can be. So underneath that, there's a ribbon cable, a standard sort of Eurorack ribbon cable. And it goes all the way along. I've got it sort of taped with masking tape on the inside so it doesn't get in the way. And it plugs into the back of this module over here. It's another CGS 9.3. And what you can see is I've got 8 outputs from the CGS 9.3 going to 8 inputs on my assimilator. So that means in a really elegant and neat way, triggers that I'm sending out of the trigger outputs on my jack expander from the vector go through the trunking module and exit into my assimilator. So what I get, just muting channels I'm not using, is trigger outs, trigger ins. Right? So over on the routing page here, you'll see that those are my routing settings on the vector. The jack expanders, trigger 1 to 4 are parts 7.1, 2, 3, and 4. And triggers 5, 6, 7, and 8 are part 8.1, 2, 3, and 4. So my two drum parts, being 7 and 8, have 4 voices each. Go through the jack expander to the trunk and out to here. Now, I don't have to leave them connected to the assimilator, obviously. I can just disconnect that and plug it into my BIA or my Western Precision Audio AD110 or my Crucible or whatever else I want to do. It's just a really nice way of not having to put things next to each other in the rack that I wouldn't want to have next to each other, but also to keep things neat. So Antoine, thanks for asking that question. I hope that this has in some way answered what you were asking. And if it doesn't, leave me another question.